Today we're going to talk about Seed. I've been playing her for over a week now. I'm just going to talk to you guys about my first impressions, kind of like an early access review. Now, before I start, there's going to be some like disclaimers. Of course, I'm not going to have any gameplay because of NDA, but I will talk about my first impressions once again. It's not going to be like highly edited or anything. It's just like a sit down and let's have a talk, grab a drink. You know, that's what it's going to be. And once again, it is kind of early. Things may change. But I wanted to answer some of like the frequently asked questions, clear some of the misconceptions about Seed, how I feel about her now, and how she, I think, will age over the course of a couple of months. Anyways, let's get right in. I'm just gonna go randomly, okay? It's not gonna be a good video in terms of like editing and it's no script, all right? Some of the things that you guys have been asking is she tied to Orphie, right? I've been playing her with Orphie, and to answer that quickly, no, I don't really follow characters in their early forms. I don't know if she was tied to Orphie, but the version that I'm playing, she's not dependent on Orphie because Seed does not have any more like aftershocks. No aftershock buffs. She doesn't have aftershock tied to her kit. She doesn't have any aftershock. There's no aftershock. All right, even in her Mindscapes, there in Mindscape 2, it does. We're gonna talk about Mindscape 2 as well, but it doesn't have any aftershock. Okay, we're gonna loop back to the synergy with Orphie, but I just want to quickly fire some answers to questions. So have you tried Orphie with Seed and Trigger? Yes, I have. Have you tried replacing Seed with Anby, Soldier Anby? And yes, I have. And Seed obviously performed a little bit better. And one of my test runs, I was doing Anby, and I forgot that her Wenjin was R5. So even with the R5 Wenjin, Seed was outperforming Anby. You know, I love Anby. I have multiple merch, and I have one of, if not the most geared Anby on the live servers. I love the shit out of her. So I do plan to use Anby with Seed. I'm gonna try to make it work. But yeah, that leads to the next question. Do you need to pair Anby with Seed? Once again, no, because Seed does not have anything to do with aftershock. And we'll talk about why and why devs did that in a little bit. Let's keep going with these questions. So yes, Seed performs better than Anby. I also believe that Seed has more fluidity, more flexible, and that's one thing I really want to stress in this video. As you probably saw in the title and the thumbnail, she is like she's multifunctional, multi-purpose. And I know there's a meme in the community. I want to pull Seed because you're getting 2 for 1 because you're getting the robot Seed Senior as well as the Junior and the feed action, blah 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 blah. The devs in terms of design and the kit, which we will get into the kit in detail a little bit later. Let's open with more general questions. And another thing is I'm going to use a lot of like general terms. I don't want to use like the technical in-game terms. That's going to confuse you guys. I don't have like the gameplay so that you guys can follow along with me. I'm going to simplify it as best as possible. So what were we talking about again? Yeah, Seed is flexible. Obviously a little bit more powerful than Anby, and multi-purpose, multifunctional. You're getting a lot for the price of one. That's I think what I was talking about, 3 in 1. You not only are you getting the robot, you're getting the girl, but you're also getting multiple roles, which we'll get into. Another thing I want to address is Seed hard to play? She is actually very simple. She's simple to understand. The only hard part that I can think of is trying to learn how to like do the chain attacks as well as fit her ultimate. Do you want to do it before the chain attacks? The sequence of things going into the stun, because Seed has a very long ultimate time. And tomorrow, within 23 hours or something like that, the devs will showcase Seed's gameplay. They're going to try to make it sound complex, but it's not complex. What I want to say is she's pretty friendly to players, like casuals, for those that like, you know, fluid team building, multiple teams. So she is not as yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. She's not as restrictive as some people are making her out to be. So I want to really clear that out of the way. So once again, I really want to drill this in. She's not restricted to like Orphie or Anby. She can be played with like the starting roster. You don't have to like heavily invest into her. You can go low cost and still see you'll find success with like Billy or Anton. And of course, you could incorporate Nicole if you want to even ease it up, even make it even easier for the team to play out. You can add Poker up in there. And also, I really want to say that over time, I think that Seed is going to open doors to even more and more teams, as well as way different builds, which we will get into, okay? I feel like Seed is born ahead of her time. Yeah, you know those memes where like you're born too late for this, but you're born too early for something. like space travel. I think that Seed is kind of like that. She kind of feels like a pioneer because unlike the other attackers, how do I best say this? It's like she feels like kind of like Miyabi, like the anomaly characters like Miyabi, Alice, because even though they may not be on field or active, Seed can still generate her meter, which is in ZZZ terms, special attack. So she has like this little meter, a gauge, and it's gonna still fill up even if she is off the field. We'll talk about her kit. So Seed feels like a modern attacker in that regard. Let's loop back to Seed and Orphie. I jotted some things down while I was playing for like a week plus. So put this as simple as I can, and I may not be the best at this, but Orphie has buffs coming from her core passive, and same thing with Seed. Now, can you put them together and can they work? Yes, but the way the developers designed it is that it's not like a perfect match. It's not like a perfect fit. One thing I really forgot to mention is that Seed can work with any other attacker. Seed and Orphie synergy, they can buff each other, but Orphie's buff through her core passive, it extends through aftershocks, and because Seed doesn't have that, sometimes Orphie's buff when you're on Seed can fall off. So while they can be played together, it feels like in terms of the design perspective, in the current version that I was playing with, you can like put them together or separate them, and they can also be fine separated and mingle with others. You get what I'm saying, guys? Remember when I said about Seed being like an attacker but behaving like Alice and Miyabi, where Alice and Miyabi, when they're off field, they can still generate their special attack meter, whether it's the orbs or the meter. Well, same thing with Seed, right? When Seed is off field and you're on field with another attacker, when that another attacker is using their X special, the energy, then Seed, while being off-field, generates her special attack meter. But Orphie is an off-field attacker. Orphie uses X special automatically while she's off the field, while Seed core passive wants the second attacker to use X special on the field. Orphie's buff is extended with aftershocks, which Seed doesn't have. So for Orphie, she gets the full duration of her own buff, but Seed doesn't. So yeah. So once again, they can be paired together, but also designed so that they can be split to complement other teams and future teams. I think this is a good move because they're not a set, and they also get future proof because they're very now fluid. They can work with others, but it's a certain move. We went from knowing they'd be best together like a set, while sets come at a cost of being restrictive. But now we don't know who their best will be in the near to long future. And that's, I think, the reason why it's good, because Seed is not restrictive. Same with Orphie. Seed even more, I think. So this move is good by the devs because the decision opens the doors to more team options, and devs can also come back to revisit them with future complementary units, aka the door is open, allows freedom of creativity as developers as well as players when it comes to team building. We're going to talk about why. We'll get there, all right? So we don't know their exact value, but the value is that we don't know their exact value, okay? Do you get what I'm saying? We don't know their exact numerical value right now, but that is the value, right? Like I said earlier, they're born before their time. Seed is a I think that's her theme, multi-purpose. Now in this talk, guys, we're gonna talk about why she's multi-purpose, okay? 3-in-1. Maybe even more. If you're one of those people that want to play Seed on field, you can build your team that way. Okay, whether it's through agents or the way you gear those agents. So Seed can take up like 80 to 90% of the field time, and you can design your second attacker. She pairs with another attacker. That's in her toolkit, which we'll get into. And that second attacker, other than Seed, right? So attacker 1 is Seed, and the second one is whoever you want to put in there. The second attacker, you can build them for damage, or you can kind of like tinker them so that they're built for energy, so that they can get on the field and expend their energy. Blah, 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 blah. And while they're doing that, Seed is generating her special attack meter off field. So once you run out of Seed's X special energy, when she launches her missiles, that gives her personal special attack gauge meter. Voice cracking again. Once you expend that, you can swap to another attacker. And maybe you build it with energy regen, or you could go with like, you know, people also want to test out Nekomata with her M2 energy generation, 25% increase or blah, 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 blah. Then you can like go on there and spend their X special energy, and see off field will gain her special attack meter that way. And then you could do that back and forth. So you could play Seed as a hyper carry, or You can play like 50-50, 40-60, quick swap, which is what I'm planning to do. I mean, I'm gonna do all of them, all right? I really want to play Seed as support as well. I'm really interested in this part where Seed acts as like a support. So Seed, once again, could be the main DPS, sub DPS, or even kind of like a support role like Astra because of her core passive, which we will get into, I promise. Seed has great multipliers, another thing I didn't mention, but because of her core passive having a lot of like supportive buffs, you can build another team around Seed where you can free up Astra for another team. Or you could play her with Astra, but you can also free up Astra. So that's another good thing about Seed as well. She's pretty easy to gear. There's no like restrictive gearing for her. Of course, her signature engine at one copy gives about what, 39% crit. So it does help gearing, but it's not necessary. And if you're gonna play Seed over time and she plays that like a support role, then her signature engine, you don't really need that defense shred coming from it because it's only for her. It's not like party wide or anything like that. So she's easy to play, pretty easy to gear. She's flexible. Chain attack is pretty long, a lot of animation. Her ultimate takes up a lot of field time. That's why her M2 extends the stun duration by 4 seconds. Since we're talking about M2, she also provides more team buffs through her M2 defense shred and that extension of the stun duration by 4 seconds. So yeah, if you want to like kind of like play her as support or future proof her as well, her M2 is pretty good in that regard. Going back to what I said, ult takes up a lot of time. So depending on how you build her team, like let's say you're gonna play with a Anby, for example, then you need to kind of plan your ults, like who's gonna ult during the stun, who's not. So yeah, she's gonna be using the new disc. If you want to pre-plan her discs, if you're seeing my face glowing, that's because I'm in the game, I can't show you guys. But yeah, she's gonna be using the new 2.2 discs. As for her toolkit, right? The attack teammates with the highest attack is considered Seed's Vanguard. Okay, just let's simplify this. So when these attackers use their X special attack, they gain a buff that lasts for 40 seconds. Pretty good, right? Pretty lenient. 1,000 attack as well as 30% crit damage. And when they are both simultaneously buffed, the two attackers, then they additionally gain 30% additional damage. So remember what I said about like you can pair her with Orphie, but you don't have to at all. I personally am not going to. If you do, then what Orphie does is that she automatically spends her X special. We'll do a separate Orphie video, okay? What Orphie likes to do is when she's not on field, when she's off field, she spends X special if she has enough energy automatically. And that doesn't like disrupt Seed's core passive with the buffs. Remember they said Seed's core passive said X special attack from the two attackers. It didn't specify that they had to be on field, okay? So Orphie can still trigger Seed's core passive, but Orphie cannot trigger this part of Seed's core passive. When the Vanguard consumes energy, let's simplify that. When the second attacker consumes energy as the active character, or when Seed consumes energy, for every 1 point of energy consumed, Seed recovers Steel Charge, which is her special attack meter. Does that mean Seed and Orphie dream is over? Can they not work together? No, whatsoever not. They can still work well together because yeah, Orphie is off field. That gives Seed more time on field, right? It's like a yin yang, it balances each other out. All right, so this part of Seed's core passive exists so that you don't have to play with Orphie. You can play with a quick swap like 40-60 or 50-50. So let's say like you want to spend like 50% of your time on Anby or Billy or Anton, whatever, and the 50% of the other time or 60% of the other time on Seed. Seed's not going to have that much disadvantage. I think that was the word I was looking for when you do play that quick swap. But if you want to play like Seed with Orphie, where Seed is like the hyper carry, that's just fine because Seed takes more field time. She's going to generate more of her special attack meter. While Orphie doesn't contribute to that, indirectly she does because she is more off field and Seed gets more on field. You get what I'm saying? So basically, she's built well. Seed is built well. Like, for example, older attackers like Anby, she has to be the one on field for the silver star or silver mark, whatever it's called, okay? It's like the silver mark, silver meter is not gonna like build when Anby is switched off to somebody else, right? So Seed is more modern in that regard. So the last closing remark is that Seed is gonna be, there's gonna be so many different builds, and I'm so excited to see what you guys are gonna cook up, like how you're gonna do her Wenjin. If you do play her as support, are you gonna like gear towards energy regen? What are you gonna do with your Anton or Billy? What are you gonna do with your slot 6? Are you gonna go with energy regen? Like for example, when I play her with Sambi, am I gonna re-gear Sambi or am I gonna re-gear Seed? I can't wait to tinker that even more. I think her being a multi-functional unit is the fun behind her instead of her own gameplay. Her own gameplay is very simple. And finally, if Seed still does not interest you, make sure you guys check out this video and get ready for 2.4 if you want to. Have a good one. Bye-bye.